the way he took out Anthony Joshua.
I know.
Jake wants to fight Anthony Joshua now? Well,
Like,
they're like, what about now?
happen?
What about fight him
now.
now? He's like, no, I want to wait till 2026. Okay.
To put on weight?
Put all the steroids, every steroid
Whatever.
they have.
I would want.
Snake
Here's
venom.
the thing.
Joe Rogan has slammed Jake Paul for fighting Anthony Joshua. According to Rogan, this is the kind of fight that will make Jake Paul realize what he's dealing with in the sport. Rogan has even said that Jake Paul might need PEDS to even hurt Joshua if he doesn't pull out of the fight. All this comes after multiple offers were sent to different fighters, including Crawford, who all seemed to accept the deal. But the fight that has now been booked might be the most dangerous of Jake's career.
Dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
And will. I mean, Anthony
I know.
Joshua is one of the biggest one-punch KO artists. What he did to Francis Ngannou,
I
like,
know.
good Lord.
Yes.
Do you want that smoke?
Yes.
Rogan has argued that stepping into the ring with a legitimate heavyweight like Joshua isn't just a step up, it's practically a leap off a cliff. He points out that Paul's previous fights, while impressive in terms of popularity and pay-per-view numbers, haven't really tested him against someone with Joshua's size, power, and experience. It's one thing to beat ex-MMA fighters or a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. It's another entirely to face a man who's been in the elite heavyweight mix for over a decade and has knocked out some of the best in the division.
I think that AJ is too much for Jake Paul at this point, and he's bigger than Jake Paul, in my opinion.
Do you think it's competitive? A lot of people are saying if AJ doesn't get him out of there in 2 rounds, it'll be a huge embarrassment.
I don't think that's not the case, that he's gonna get Jake Paul. At the end of the day, Jake Paul has been training hard too, and he's.
And that's exactly what makes this fight such a playground for criticism. Dana White, who usually likes to sit on the sidelines and let fighters and promoters sort themselves out, couldn't hide his reaction when asked about the potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua matchup. At a recent press conference, White's response was heated. To him, this is nothing but a very bad idea. White has simply stated that the fight is dangerous, that Paul could be over his head, and that the risk for him and the sport is significant. To him, this isn't a fight that benefits Joshua professionally, and it might be the sort of mismatch that could hurt Paul badly.
Do you know which fight I'm talking about?
No.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus. That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one.
Even Tommy Fury, who's fought and beaten Jake before, jumped on social media with a message that was part mockery, part warning. In his video, Fury reminded fans that Paul couldn't even beat him when he had a broken hand. He went further, calling out Paul directly, saying, "Jake Paul, I'm still your daddy."
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it.
Carl Froch sees it the same way. He has called the entire setup embarrassing for boxing. He sees Paul as delusional for thinking he belongs in a ring with someone like Joshua. From Froch's perspective, the fight is less about skill and more about spectacle, a cash grab that might make for a good social media clip but doesn't belong in the sport's history books. But if you asked Jake, boxing should actually be thanking him for bringing this much attention to the sport.
Jake Paul has become the fighter right now that everybody wants to fight because right now he is a cash cow. He made $40 million just off of Netflix.
He has found a way to do something with his following, get under people's skin to make people care about.
It's not just Rogan, Fury, and Froch who are concerned. Amir Khan has also voiced serious warnings about the fight's safety implications. Khan, among many other pros, has said in interviews that the size and power difference alone could make the matchup one-sided and, frankly, dangerous. He has warned that one clean shot from Joshua could seriously hurt Paul, and that the social media star is better off continuing in the weight classes where he's proven himself rather than jumping headfirst into a fight that could end his momentum and tarnish his growing reputation.
Jake Paul lost to Tommy Fury. Anthony Joshua cannot box Jake Paul. Horrific. He's dangerous for one, and two, if Jake Paul even lands a glove on him, it just diminishes everything that he's achieved. Jake Paul won't last 2 minutes for me. Never mind Anthony Joshua. It's ridiculous. It's a joke.
If AJ...
On the other side of things, the Paul camp has framed the fight differently. Business partner Nakisa Badarian has explained that the decision to fight Joshua was strategic. According to Bedarian, many fighters accepted offers from Jake, including Terrence Crawford, who is the newly crowned undisputed 168-pound champion. But the Paul camp ultimately decided that facing Joshua, a bigger, slower, but less technically skilled opponent than some of the smaller fighters on offer, was the right choice.
Telling you, be careful what you wish for, because this is the most dangerous thing. This is like tuning in to watch David Blaine. You know, when he's in the box and you're wondering whether he's going to get out in time. This is the kind of thing when you tune into his fight. And I've told Nikita and I've taped Joe Paul, this ain't David Blaine. This is going in with one of the most fiercest punchers of our generation. And by the way, if you go in there thinking you're going to win.
Bedarian framed it as a high-risk, high-reward scenario. Yes, Joshua is big, strong, and powerful, but Paul might have more room to display skill against him than he would against a faster, more precise opponent like Gervonta Davis. From this perspective, the fight isn't just about the spectacle. It's about choosing the right kind of challenge that could, if things go well, boost Paul's boxing credibility.
Yeah, I've spoken to Nikita a few times on it. I mean, there's nothing to report to you that it's close or, you know, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Of course, AJ is exclusive to DAZN. We also work very closely with His Excellency, and although we have no contract with him, we're in talks for big fights next year. Of course, Tyson Fury being one of them. So we'd definitely give him the respect of making sure that he was.
Still, experts in the sport aren't convinced. Joshua hasn't fought since a knockout defeat to Daniel Dubois, but even coming off that loss, he remains a heavyweight with knockout power, technical skill, and experience that dwarfs anything Paul has seen in the ring. Analysts point out that Paul has never faced someone of Joshua's caliber, and the fight could quickly expose gaps in the YouTuber's technique, endurance, and ability to handle real heavyweight punches. From the standpoint of boxing purists, this isn't a leveling up move for Paul. It's almost like throwing him to the wolves, a situation where the risk of injury or a career-defining loss is high.
Khan warns AJ could easily knock out Jake in 2 rounds, but sized-up power gap poses serious danger. Boxing isn't a game, and this mismatch could lead to someone getting hurt. The fight shouldn't happen, no matter the money involved.
Public perception also plays a massive role in this controversy. Some pundits argue that a loss for Joshua would be catastrophic for his legacy. If he wins, critics say, it won't add much to his career because he fought a social media celebrity rather than a legitimate contender. It's a no-win situation in terms of public perception. Combine that with the fact that Paul's team is openly marketing the fight as a must-see spectacle, and the narrative becomes complicated. On one hand, you have a huge financial payday and massive media attention. On the other, there's the potential for a public relations disaster, or worse, a physical one.
That's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge.
Joe Rogan's warning about PEDS has only fueled this controversy even further. While he hasn't directly accused Paul of using performance-enhancing drugs, his comments suggest that someone stepping into the ring with Joshua might be pushed to consider any edge they can get to survive or compete. Fans are now discussing not just the skill gap and physical danger, but also the ethical and medical implications of a young social media star facing an elite heavyweight under these circumstances.
Jack Paul, if Joshua destroy him, the headache of Jack Paul will go from my mind. If Jack Paul win, I will know that Joshua is finished, and Jack Paul deserve to be ranking and deserve to have future in boxing, right?
Even with all this criticism, Jake Paul is moving forward with the fight. He's publicly confident, promising to shock the world, and leaning heavily into the bravado and theatrics that made him famous in the first place. From a promotional standpoint, this fight is a masterstroke. It has controversy, it has spectacle, and it has a built-in audience of curious viewers who want to see whether the social media boxer can actually hang with a former heavyweight champion. The promotion itself has been carefully orchestrated, with the fight officially set for December 19th in Miami, ensuring maximum exposure and a beachside backdrop for all the drama to unfold.
Cool payday to go in and spark Jake Paul before we start the serious stuff in 2026. Don't tell me what we should and what we shouldn't be doing. Answer the question honestly. Would you do it if you're AJ? When are you going to fight a real fighter goes well out the window, and I will have to personally provide a wheelbarrow so he can bring his cojones into the ring that night.
Ryan Garcia has also recently summed up Jake Paul's chances in just 3 words. Worst possible fight. Speaking on Inside the Ring, Garcia said that if Jake could somehow win even 1 or 2 rounds against Joshua, it would feel like a victory in itself. "This is a big dude, heavyweight," Garcia explained, emphasizing the size difference and the challenges Paul would face against someone with Olympic-level training and championship experience. He suggested that Jake might be overestimating his own right-hand power, thinking he can drop Joshua the way Daniel Dubois did.
Look, but Anthony, listen to me. Don't take a dive with this Jake Paul, mate. Do not do that, not for $1 billion, my pal. Don't do it. Don't do as the others have done. Do not take dives. If he fights, you knock him dead as a nit, and good luck with it.
Tyson says he's going to bet £1 million on Jake Paul knocking out Joshua.
This is what I'm saying. How's that work?
He can't, can he?
Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his...
He has also framed the fight as a perfect storm of ambition and hubris. He pointed out that Paul might be chasing huge fights more than realistic boxing achievements. From Garcia's perspective, Jake is looking for moments where he can land one punch and make headlines, but he may not fully appreciate that Anthony Joshua has faced the kind of power Paul has never encountered. The YouTuber-turned-boxer is stepping into a world where misjudging distance, timing, or even stamina can result in more than just a loss. It can have serious, career-defining consequences. Fighting someone like Joshua requires not only skill, but the ability to stay calm under pressure, something Paul hasn't been tested on at this level.
Jake Paul, we've seen what he can do, and at a level he's very good. You know, the people who he's been fighting, he's been better than a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. He's better than a 50-year-old Mike Tyson. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he was better than what he was. But once again, these are guys who aren't current, who aren't, ranked in the world right now at heavyweight, and who weren't Olympic gold medalists, who, this is something complete.
Meanwhile, Ariel Helwani has raised alarms about the fight's safety. Helwani has dismissed arguments that a Paul versus Joshua matchup diminishes the latter's legacy, pointing out that boxing greats like Muhammad Ali and George Foreman had also taken on unusual or gimmick fights during their careers. But he turned immediately to a more pressing concern: Jake Paul's health. Drawing comparisons to Francis Ngannou, who was knocked out cold and left immobile for what felt like an eternity, Helwani emphasized that boxing is a sport where careers and lives can be on the line. "It is not hyperbole to say people die in boxing," Helwani stated. To him, while the spectacle of the matchup generates clicks, the real story is whether Jake Paul could face serious or lasting damage in the ring against a man like Joshua. The concern is especially pressing given Joshua's power and experience, and Paul's lack of exposure to high-level heavyweight competition.
I know
he just got knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin, and he has no skill, and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. But I want to fight you. I will beat Canelo. I will beat a lot of people. I will not beat.
David Haye, another former champion, echoed these warnings in equally vivid terms. Speaking to Sky News, Haye said that if Paul ends up trapped against the ropes while Joshua unloads, it could be catastrophic. He even suggested in no uncertain terms that a mismanaged fight could be the end for him, and potentially his last day in the ring. While dramatic, Haye's comments underline a point that many experts and former fighters have been making quietly for weeks. The combination of Joshua's size, strength, and precision punches makes this fight genuinely dangerous.
The damage that's going to be inflicted to him. Boxing's a dangerous, dangerous game. Your brain isn't supposed to rattle around in your head, particularly the way it's going to for Jake Paul when Anthony Joshua starts letting those punches fly. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be, I hope they've got some real good paramedics close by, because it could be.
Promoters have their own nuanced takes. Frank Warren, speaking to Seconds Out, offered a mixed assessment that both praised Jake Paul and warned Joshua of what could happen if he gets caught. Warren thinks that Paul deserves credit for his career trajectory. Coming from social media fame and little amateur experience, Jake has managed to evolve into a boxer capable of stepping into big fights.
I did not hear nothing about that. I think AJ got that one. Yeah, AJ is a giant world champion. He's top tier guy. No way that's gonna happen. If that happens, I'll be insane. Would Paul be able to pull it off? I mean, it's boxing, one punch can change it. AJ doesn't have the best chin, but I think AJ will take it. AJ has too much.
He has called out the criticism Jake often receives as unfair, pointing out that the YouTuber-turned-boxer has consistently trained hard and stepped into the deep end, facing fighters with legitimate experience. However, Warren also painted a clear picture of the stakes. If Paul catches Joshua, it could spell trouble for the Briton.
It's a fight that will generate a lot of viewing figures. The guys will get extraordinarily well paid for it. You've got AJ, who's obviously well known over here. In America, he's not got such a big profile, but Jake Paul certainly has, and lots of followers. It's a fight that I'm sure that AJ will go in as a massive favourite.
Referencing Joshua's previous fight with Daniel Dubois, Warren highlighted the danger of underestimating the impact of a clean shot. The implication is that even a heavy favorite can be vulnerable, and Paul's right-hand power should not be discounted despite his unorthodox background. Joshua himself has not fought since that knockout loss to Dubois in September 2024, making this a comeback fight with a lot riding on it. Analysts suggest that he is looking to rebuild his momentum for bigger challenges in 2026, and Paul's team is positioning this matchup as a headline-grabbing opportunity that could change the landscape of boxing crossover events.
This is another level. This is a really dangerous. He ain't fighting a granddad. He isn't fighting a grandfather. It's absolute lunacy. It's insane. It's dangerously insane. Is right. And I never thought I'd say that in my life.
The Paul camp is fully aware of the optics. This isn't just a fight, it's a media spectacle that will dominate headlines, generate social media conversations, and fuel pay-per-view numbers, all while putting a massive target on Jake's back. This tension is compounded by the fact that Joshua's recovery, preparation, and psychological readiness all intersect with Paul's high-energy, unpredictable fighting style.
Jake Paul will be taking all his meals through a straw for the rest of 2025. Honestly, they better keep an entire hospital ward ready inside the stadium. Nurses, surgeons, CT scans, maybe even a priest, just in case Jake wants to confess all his YouTube sins after I stomp him. I personally like to thank Jake's ego.
Robert Smith, General Secretary of the British Boxing Board of Control, has openly expressed opposition to sanctioning the fight on British soil. He has argued that it would be unsafe and should not be permitted, reflecting a broader concern in the sport about high-profile crossovers that prioritize spectacle over safety. Nakat Ida Badarian countered this perspective by pointing out that boxing has sanctioned riskier bouts in the past. He specifically mentioned older fights like the Sprott contest over a decade ago, framing them as more dangerous because the opponents were essentially there to be knocked out. From Badarian's perspective, a fight with Anthony Joshua, who is going in to win, is fundamentally different and should not be viewed through the same lens as those historical mismatches.
Do you regret the Joshua fight not happening?
No, I don't. I don't regret anything. Life's too short for regrets.
What do you think of Jake Paul calling him out?
I think it's a good fight. I think it's a real 50-50 fight.
Badarian also addressed accusations of fight rigging, which have dogged Jake throughout his career. Critics have highlighted Paul's history of opponents with unusual backgrounds, retired MMA fighters, semi-retired or inactive boxers, and even a 59-year-old Mike Tyson, and speculated that clauses or arrangements were put in place to protect him. Badarian dismissed these claims, stressing that Joshua is in a completely different category. Unlike some of Paul's past opponents, Joshua is a two-time former heavyweight champion with an Olympic gold medal. He is there to compete, not to lose for the sake of spectacle. He also mentioned Paul's respect for Joshua, noting that in videos and interviews, Paul has acknowledged the Briton's accomplishments, both as an Olympian and as a knockout artist.
Do you evaluate?
Just seen that. Someone just told me about that. That's mad. Fair play to Jake Paul, first of all, for taking it. But if AJ doesn't knock him out in like 1-2 rounds, then I feel like the fight must be fixed or something, because I'm going to on Joshua, obviously, for the KO.
Jake Paul himself has been in interviews about his respect for Joshua. He has acknowledged that while Joshua was winning Olympic gold, Paul was making vines in high school. This kind of self-deprecating humor has been a staple of his persona, but it also serves to emphasize just how different their journeys have been.
Exactly. I think that Jake Paul has finally bit off more than he can chew, but good for him. Like, good for him. I'm actually excited that he took this fight. I think that Anthony Joshua is a viable, legit, former heavyweight champion of the world who is still active and still competing at high level. This isn't a Mike Tyson past his prime, almost 60-year-old Tyson.
He has noted the challenge and admitted that he is stepping into a ring with someone whose career accomplishments dwarf his own. According to Jake Paul, this may be the fight that defines his career in boxing. However, from Rogan to all voices in the sport, this might be the biggest mistake of his career. What do you think, though? Do you feel Jake stands a chance against a heavyweight like Joshua? Share your take below and subscribe for more updates.